Hey there folks, I want to start this video by making an apology. I'm not trying to upset anybody or hurt any feelings. I know that people have put blood, sweat and tears into this magnificent DE-1 project, and I own one and I love it. I just have had it for 2 years, and I'm very disappointed by the lack of progress in software, and also in the way it seems to be kind of geek led. So people don't mind things being really unfriendly because they're geeks and they like that sort of thing. So in the beginning I was making suggestions about having a relative grind size chart for all the presets, but that kind of got shot down by all sorts of people on the forum who gave me all sorts of reasons why you can't do that because of X, Y, and Z, because of all these different variables. But it's really beside the point. Having a relative grind size obviously makes is a great help. I've been working on my own one, but it doesn't. I'd obviously want much more community expertise. No matter what coffee you have, a classic 9 bar is always going to be ground more coarse than, for example, a Cremina or a LVR3. And they're always going to be ground finer than in Extractamundo DOS or Turbo, for example. So, a relative grind size chart makes a massive difference, especially for somebody who's just starting off. Second point that I'm going to make, most of this video is going to be about the history and being able to browse a shot, or the inability to really browse a shot. The other thing is, so the one thing was about relative grind size, and the other thing is with the shots over here, many of them give basic details like this. It's similar, it does this, it does that. It doesn't say anything about what a relative grind size for number one. Number two, what are the pointers? What are the markers? Should you go for a shot that's going to be 35 seconds, and is the flow rate going to be 1.5 or 2.5 at the end of that 35 seconds, or is it meant to have 1 gram of weight after the pre-infusion? Or give us some information that's really useful so people can dial in. People who want to try things out, give us the joy of having a DE-1 by making it very easy to change daily from one to the other. Make it more involving, because at the moment, people like myself who want to experiment, I stick on Cremina and a bunch of other sort of safe ones that I know will work, because I don't want to waste my time with something that I waste my coffee. And that's a pity, because there doesn't have to be a waste of coffee. If you get good instructions and you know that you're going to try out this I don't know what Rayo Allange, and you know that that's got a similar grind to the Turbo or something, then you know that there we go. We just do this. I did a Turbo last week. I'll use the same grind setting, and I should be able to get a decent shot out of that. So these are basic bits of information that really should be there, so that not only new users, but people like myself who just become safe users. I might as well have a lever machine. I might as well have a machine that does basically a couple of little variables, because the way that I'm using the machine isn't to its full, and that's very largely because the lack of information on how to go about looking for markers to try something new. So that needs to change, definitely. Okay, then we move on to the third thing, which is kind of like a major thing. I do like Damien's new cafe skin, except for it doesn't have describe your espresso connection at all, which means it's I can't use this interface. But I do love having these variables here. All these different presets. I can have my favorite lever ones here. I can have other types there. I can have filter ones here. So that's really good. And I just wish that was as a basic interface, this is really excellent. I'm going to switch over to the other one though, so I can talk about the history. But first, let me just show you the history on this one. This history view has got potential, but there's way too little information. There's nothing about the bean. There's nothing about the grinder settings. There's a whole bunch of information just completely missing from this. So, and plus you can't filter or search things. You just have to scroll. Well, actually, I guess you can scroll forever. Yeah, you can scroll forever, or up to 100. So this doesn't really work as a history. It might help you, I don't know what, if you want to compare a graph, but that's not really what I'd want to do tomorrow morning when I'm looking for. I've got this Ethiopian bean, and I want to try something that's kind of a faster thing to accentuate the acidity. Therefore, what are my options? And this doesn't help with that at all. So let's go over to the other skin, to the other DSX default skin. So here we are now at the default theme for DSX. It's got this light look about it. Let me just switch over to the dark look. I don't think I've got the dark theme applied on my Windows computer here, so I'll just stay on this one. But what I wanted to say, one of the things, is that on the dark theme, you can't read some of the history stuff. It's a light font against a very light background, and it's just illegible. Anyways, so here we are to get to history. Why can't I get to DYE? I had to install some add-on, the DYE thing. So anyway, so here we are, and I've at the DSX 2 skin. I can go to History Viewer here. Now this is probably the most useful one because it's got almost all the information that you need. It's got most information that you need over here, but what it doesn't have is an ability to filter and sort stuff. You have to scroll through over here to find, out of maybe thousands of shots perhaps, to find something that's your base shot and your selected shot. So if you wanted to, for example, as I said, I've got an Ethiopian bean and I want to enter somehow Ethiopian bean with extractor mundo, or do something particular with it. This makes it very, very difficult. It's just really hard. You have to browse and browse and browse and try and find stuff, and it's not really going to give you the information you need. It might be good for comparing two things that you've done very recently because you can see them here. But if it's stuff that's from last year with the same bean that you've roasted again or something like that, and you want to remember what you did, it's just really, really difficult, and it doesn't function as you'd expect. It just needs to have a filter and find and sorting thing, so you can do that more easily, and have fields where you can enter information that you say, okay, the bean, you just put Ethi and it'll find Ethiopian stuff, and time you can put 30 to 60 seconds. It'll find shots within that time frame, or so, just whatever data that you want to filter and find by, that should be at your fingertips. Okay, let me move on to another one, another history thing. So we're going to go into here now. In Describe Your Espresso, there's 3 different histories. This one here being by far the worst. I mean, I don't see there's any function for this at all. It gives you so little information. It's just date over here. I mean, I wouldn't have a clue how to find a shot just by date. That's just pointless, that one. This one here, I mean, what I'd like it to be able to do is, if again, like in Damien's one, if I could say, okay, I'm looking for Londinium shots that are with the Ethiopian bean, and then say, okay, go and find me those ones. But now it's going to find you all Ethiopian ones. It's just a long list of stuff that's with that particular bean. So, and there's no graph, and it's just the filtering and finding thing is just not very functional. This one over here has a bit more information, but it's selecting a shot from history. If you search, for example, Kenya, it finds 16 shots at a Kenyan, but then look here, if you click on beans, it has less, it finds less, or profile, somehow it finds more. So I don't really understand the relationship between what you've filtered out here and what you're filtering out here. They don't seem, I mean, every time you're writing Kenya, there's a profile that's going to have, you know, all the Kenyan shots that have accused Kenyan beans belong to some profile. So it's kind of like, what is it actually, how is it deciding what it's filtering? Why is it filtering things? So that's kind of quite strange. Yeah, sorting by, that's all right. But it still doesn't really do the job of quickly finding stuff and knowing what to do next. That should be like really right there. You know, inspiring people to experiment and try things, making it a pleasure to try things, rather than kind of scratch your head with 4 different history things, none of which actually do the job that you'd want it to do. Yeah. The basic gist of what I'm saying is that you know, we have a fantastic machine, but the software does not do it a service, really. It's actually very poor. I think there needs to be a complete rewrite of the software, and love you, John, but you know, get somebody who's a proper, you know, sort of interface designer who can do something sexy, animated, something that will make it an absolute pleasure to use the machine. You know, people would want to just play with it just because they'll be just dying to fiddle with the software. But at the moment, it's just got so many little plug-in bits and pieces. It's like a Swiss Army knife, you know, made by, you know, designed by a committee. It's just not elegant, not smooth, not friendly. It's not enticing. You know, it's kind of like intimidating, and you can't really do the basics of what you want to do, which is to, you know, feel free to experiment. You know, really good software makes you want to play with it, and as you're playing with it, things make sense, and you can just pick up as you're going along. This just doesn't do that. There's just like things all over the place, and they kind of disjointed, and they don't connect, and it needs a complete rewrite. All right, thanks guys. Ciao ciao.